What up, what up? Welcome back to the Pop Punk Pod. This week we're doing No Pressure's self-titled album. This was released June 2022. So first track is called Lock It Up. I really liked the harmonies in this song. I kind of realized in this whole album he does a lot of vocal harmonies. And at 138 there's these sustained notes in the background as he's saying, I've been dreading this for so long, how can I stay here once you're gone? And I really liked just the melodies that are produced with his voice in the background. And it made me think of how I was reminded with these vocals that Parker kind of really learned how to sing better, like for and after their Proper Dose album by The Story So Far. And so I just thought that was cool. I forgot that singing wasn't always his, not strong suit, but, he just didn't, sing with his voice as much as he, or back then. But now he, instead of yelling, he now, sings. And it's, I recognized that. I forgot that I didn't hear a lot, if any, grit in his voice in this record. He did a little bit. I've picked some out, but, yeah, I really like that he chose to sing more, use his singing voice in this album. And there are just a lot of pretty parts in his vocals and the harmonies and stuff that I noticed.
Nice. Yeah, I noticed that too, the vocal harmonies at the part that you mentioned at is also really good. I didn't write that down, but as you were saying that, I was like, oh yeah, that is a really good part. For me, well, this one, this is going to be a point on 9 out of 10 of these songs or something. Well, I'll have to see how many, but this song has the classic fast punk drum beat that I talked about before, that it's every single No Pressure song is
yeah.
So that'll be my first talking point on pretty much all these songs. I just have to throw that out there because I think it's funny.
For sure.
It's basically a meme. But anyway, so it has a classic that fast punk drum beat. And then this one, I really like the chorus, specifically the first half of the chorus. I just put chorus bops. It's just got a really good rhythm when it goes into it with the drum beat.
Yeah.
That kind of just makes you kind of bop along to it is really solid. I like the energy of the first half of the choruses. Right after he says, I've been dreading this for so long. Mm-hmm. And then all the instruments come in and everything. So anyway, that's what I really liked. It's got a really fun boppy chorus and the classic fast punk drum beat. Yeah. That's all I got.
Track 2 is called Too Far. I felt like this song, I didn't realize this until I was listening to it again, but this song is so, it sounds so simple, instrumentally. There's not much that's technical about it or really hard, at least based on what my ears are catching. It sounds pretty easy to play for most of the instruments and stuff, besides obviously that fast drum part at the beginning maybe. But I just find that interesting that it's one that from what I've read and listened about, I feel like this track is one that people kind of like a lot. There was one time I was reading on Reddit and I read this guy said, he was the only thing bad about this album is the fact that the song Too Far was too short. He was just mad that it wasn't longer. And I thought that was funny because this one never really personally didn't stick out to me that much. It's just not one of my favorites, and it's not a bad song in any way. I just it didn't do much for me. But it's funny that this song, I went to a small music festival in Arizona back in April. I saw a band called New Aesthetic play, who I really love, and I went to the festival to see them play. And I remember before their set, I was just walking around and stuff, and they were also just walking around, and they saw my No Pressure shirt before their set, and they're like, yo, we like your shirt, we're gonna be playing a set, come watch our show. And I was like, oh dude, yeah, I came to see you guys. Anyway, and so while they were playing their set, they switched out their cover of Understatement by New Found Glory. So instead of playing that song, Gabe, during the show, he was like, this song goes out to the girl in the No Pressure shirt. And then they played Too Far. And I was like, bruh. I was fangirling so hard. I was like, that's so cool. They probably played this song because it was the easiest to just play on the spot. But anyway, I thought that was really cool that they did that when they saw my shirt.
Yeah, for me, it was funny that you mentioned, this is the shortest song on the album at 1 minute, 10 seconds. So very, very fast. But I didn't realize it until you had mentioned how you said someone on Reddit said that like Too Far is like one of their most played songs, and at least on Spotify, yeah, this song has 5.2 million plays, which is the highest on this album.
No way.
The next highest one is Lock It Up, the one we just talked about, which is 4.8 million, so 400,000 more streams on Too Far. And then the rest of them are actually all like 2.1 million, 2.8 million, 2.4, 2.6, 1.6, 1.7, 2, and then the last one has 3 million. But so it's pretty substantial margin that this one is more popular by. It has several more million views than, or listens than some of the others. So interesting point there. But right in the intro, obviously, the fast punk drum beat is classic. Which is actually really sick. I actually really like how it almost sounds like the tempo is speeding up as it's going through this first intro, because obviously the first half of the song is like crazy, crazy fast. And it's cool because the first half, the drums, the main cymbal he's playing is the hi-hat over and over, but then halfway through, after he does a really fast drum fill, he starts hitting his crash cymbals as like the main thing, so it opens up and is a lot louder. And it almost sounds like it's getting faster and faster as he's transitioning to that crash cymbal, even though it's the same tempo. But it's just kind of fun because just the progression of just hitting the hi-hat and then transitioning over to the crash just amps it up a lot. So I thought that was cool. And then I also really like the tempo change, the new pace. I also said that this one bops, like as it like kicks in with all the instruments. It's like my whole body's just like bopping along as it's going. I think it's really good. I really like the chord progression too, the tempo change. I just think it's a really good chord progression. It's just really positive, upbeat energy throughout. So I really do like this song. I didn't realize how much I like it until you had mentioned that a ton of people really liked it. And then as I was looking at my notes, I was like, oh yeah, like this song is actually really good. I really like it. So
Track 3 is called Hand in Hand. I think he's said it before, but I think this one is a tribute to his father who passed away recently. I think the vocal layers on this song are really great. On the chorus, I don't know if they're necessarily called octaves, but like there's these 3 vocals harmonies that are happening. There's just like the main melody when he says just to prove to myself that I can, and then there's like the high harmony in the back. But then there's like this, I don't know how to describe it other than the fact that his voice sounds kind of drony, and it matches the notes of the main melody, but it's just like a little bit lower, I guess. And I think that those lower notes that he's hitting, it kind of rounds out the overall sound of what he's singing in the chorus. And it's something that I noticed after I noticed it in this song. I heard it in all of like the other songs that he's singing on the record. He has this main melody, the higher melody, and then it's just like this lower one that kind of is more just like the sound of his voice. And I don't know how to explain that, but it's like almost like his speaking voice type of a thing. I don't know how to describe it, but anyway, I thought that it sounded really cool, and I didn't notice that until recently. And I liked the vocal layering that they did in this song specifically.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the vocal harmony there. And I know what you're talking about. There's like the 3 different harmonies, where there's the main vocal line, then that lower harmony that you were talking about, and then also obviously the higher one that cuts through a little bit more. But I also think it's cool, when you do a lower harmony, because typically the harmony is, there's some music theory for you, is 3 steps higher than your current note in the scale that you're singing in the key. And so for this one, it's not necessarily 3 notes lower, like it's not a lower pitched harmony. It's he does kind of his own variation on it. It's not strictly always the 3rd note harmony, but even though it's not that way, it still has a cool, like you said, that lower tone, kind of a droning. He repeats some notes as he goes through. It's not a strict harmony, but it still sounds really good. So I like that as well. This one, I didn't have any specific notes other than the punk drum beat. I didn't have anything else too special with this one. I do like this song, but it's not my favorite on the album, so nothing crazy stands out for me.
Track 4 is called Both Sides. I love this song. This is probably, if it's not this, it's either this song or the last track that's my favorite. I don't know yet, but this one's a favorite. I love the bass in this song. I learned it a bit ago, but this is like my favorite song to play on bass. Specifically the way that AJ plays it live. I'm not sure if AJ actually like recorded the bass on this record. I want to say he did. He is an incredible bassist. I love how he plays. I love the speed at which he plays. And he does some freaking cool different riffages that he doesn't do in this record when he plays it live, and it's just insane. He's an incredible bass player. But anyway, yeah, I love just that the bass at the beginning. I love that it kind of starts out with obviously the drums and the bass, but I don't know how to describe it other than in the verses of this song, there's like this atmospheric vibe to it. I don't know exactly what is causing that sound to happen, but do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I was going to comment on that actually.
Okay.
If you want, I could
talk
about it now.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah, so during the verses, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's I want to say I mentioned this on one of our other podcasts on a different album, but basically what's happening is, there's an electric guitar that's just droning the root note of the song, pretty much. So it's just going da 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 da, just that whole note. Even though the chord progression is changing throughout, the vocals are changing and stuff, that one guitar is just playing that droning note throughout the background. And so I'm pretty sure that's what you're talking about, where it just has this like atmospheric everything. It feels very open, but it's not like loud and in your face open, like a huge chorus, but like it's almost like you can see like the whole horizon line, like musically, if that makes sense. When you're hearing it, it's like, well, it's very open, and I can see, quote, see everything going on, but like it's just kind of got this vibey, like you said, atmospheric sort of thing. And I think it's mostly because of that just droning electric guitar, just playing that root note throughout the whole thing, even though everything else is changing around it. That's kind of like the anchor that's holding kind of everything in place, sort of. So I know what you're talking about. I'll end it there.
I caught that, and I just really liked it. At a minute 30 in the bridge, the bass and the guitar play the same part, and I mean usually bass always follows like basically what the guitar does, but for some reason that specific part, when the bass and the guitar are playing the same notes, it sounds, I love the tone that's created when they're, I don't know if it's like the distortion of the bass or the guitar and just the way that they mixed it, or I don't know, but it just sounds really cool. Let me see if I can. It won't go well through the speakers. But anyway, I just really liked that tone of when they're both playing the same thing. At the end, I'm always a sucker for a good vocal layering and harmonies and stuff that are happening. I love when outros are like that, when you have like this big build up and like there's a bunch of different vocals on top of each other saying different things. I really liked that. And there's also bass in the background that's going ham, and it's mostly just hammer-ons that are happening in the specific part that I'm thinking of, but all of it together just sounds awesome. And I don't really have any other points besides that I love this song and I love all the sounds.
Yeah, this one is definitely in the top 3 of this album for me. It's this song, Big Man, and Save Your Spot, the last song, that are all like, oh crap, which one's the best one?
Yeah.
They're all like on my no skip list. Every time these songs come on, like I always listen to them. So yeah, this song has really good energy in the beginning. I'm always a sucker for whenever there's like some kind of vocal shout out or something leading into like the big break in. So when he goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and then all the instruments kick in, it's like super good energy. This is one of those vibes in the beginning when all the instruments kick in where it just gives me the feeling or like the sensation that I just want to get up and start running around for some reason. Like if there's a pit circle or something, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then everything comes in. Like I want to start sprinting and like running around in circles and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like it's just got really good energy. And so this song, I don't know what I call it, but there's several other songs where it just gives me that I want to go sprint energy for some reason. And then I really like the bass and guitar part that during the chord progression, it does this little transition thing where the notes jump up kind of higher and then climb down a few notes before hitting the normal progression again. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it's going like do do diddle do 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 diddle do 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 do, and then the second half do do diddle do right here do do do.
Yeah,
it like does this 3 like climb down thing. I really like when it transitions into that, especially since the guitar and the bass are like they have to play like really fast to climb down and make it back to the normal chord progression. I think that part always stands out and sounds really cool. And then I also really like the outro, like you mentioned with the layered vocals, sounds really cool. And I also really just like the first half of the drum part when when all the instruments come back in after the kind of long, just vocal part, the overall rhythm of the drums is just really cool, and it's kind of got like this really addicting feel to it, where the snare is coming in a little bit early instead of just hitting the traditional like 2 and 4 beats. It kind of comes in on these different parts, which sounds really cool and gives it this extra, I don't know what to call it, but it breaks up the rhythm and gives it this extra kind of vibe, this extra pop to it that I really enjoy. So yeah, really, really solid. Again, yeah, this is definitely one of my like top 3 on the album. I totally love this song. So
track 5 is called One Way Trip. The message of this song I thought was really great, specifically the chorus, and I didn't really realize what this song was talking about until last year I was like feeling homesick. I was at school and I was just like thinking about different memories of friends and stuff, and I started listening to music, and I don't remember if I like hit shuffle and like started like this song came on eventually, or if I just specifically listened to this album and then this song came on. But anyway, eventually the song came on during this like moment that I was like thinking about memories and stuff. And in the lyrics he says, "Can't look back on a one-way trip, and I know you're sure of where you're gonna go. Can't go back for the things I miss, and that means full press to where I need to go." And then that line, the last 2 lines just like kind of hit me, and I was like, oh yeah, like this is a one-way trip. Like we're only living life, like life only moves forward. Like that Meet the Robinsons quote, that their motto of keep moving forward. It was just in that moment is like something that I needed to hear, and I didn't ever like pick out the lyrics of the song until that moment, and I thought that was cool. That like, yeah, it was just like a cool little experience that I had. Like I can't go back into the past and relive those moments. Like I can't. It's fine to like miss things and miss people and stuff, but like eventually just keep going, you know. Like it's okay. But yeah, anyway, that's mostly all just that I had on this. I just thought that was a cool little moment I had with learning the kind of the meaning of this song.
Nice. Yeah, one of the things for this song that I only pointed it out in this song, but there's a ton of songs, both from No Pressure and The Story So Far, that follow this. Mostly The Story So Far's their self-titled album as well, actually, funnily enough, where the vocal melodies that Parker does are often very repeated and very patterned.
Yeah.
So, for example, he repeats that same kind of vocal line over and over for all the different things. This song is a good example. Basically, any section of the verse, he kind of repeats the same thing. And then also during the pre-chorus as well, I believe. It's all actually just the verses. But anyway, this song does that a lot. There's a few others, like I said, in this album that do it as well. I didn't make specific notes, so I forget which other songs do it. But he always repeats the same vocal melody over and over.
Yeah.
And the same patterns, which is, again, he does that on their self-titled for The Story So Far as well a lot. I think that's just kind of a Parker thing with his vocal style, is he repeats those patterns a lot. It's actually also on the other album that we did for The Story So Far. There's a couple of songs on there that I mentioned that as well. So this one just sticks out for that reason. Overall, I do like this song. It's just not as energetic and crazy as some of the others. And so I don't listen to this one as much, or it doesn't stick out to me as much. I'm more into the faster, more energetic ones. But I do like this song. I didn't notice the vocal, or the lyrics rather, and kind of the message of the song. I like the points you made there after I'm reading through the lyrics as well when you were talking about them. And it is kind of a good message, like you said, kind of looking forward and instead of looking back on the third line of that, where he says, "Can't go back for the things I missed," I think is kind of it's got some cool meaning to that. Whether you think of that in a life perspective or like a gospel perspective or whatever it is, like if it was like once you are kind of like on the gospel path and you're giving up certain things of your life, whether it's lifestyle or certain commandments that you're now keeping that you otherwise maybe wouldn't, and it's like, okay, like once I'm on this path, once I go through the temple and once I do these things, like I can't go back for the things I miss. It's like, oh man, I really miss being able to do that, and oh gosh, my friends are out drinking or doing this, I wish I could go and do that. But instead of looking back on those things he misses, he says, well, since I can't do that, that means, like I said, full press to where I need to go, instead of looking back on the things that were in the past. So that was cool. I don't think I ever paid attention to the lyrics enough to recognize that that's what it was really talking about.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you brought that up. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are all my thoughts on this one.
That was interesting that you mentioned the melodicness of Parker's style, because I recognize that too, and I also don't remember what song. There was one song specifically that I like caught it, and I was like, oh, he like, I don't remember it. Anyway, but yeah, I noticed that he does have a specific, yeah. I don't really know. I don't know what I was saying of that, but I agree with like that.
Yeah,
I picked that up. I was like, oh yeah.
Repeats the same patterns or like vocal lines over and over. Whereas, I mean, that's definitely like a common thing to do for other music, but especially in his songs, there's probably over half the songs that he sings, he's got some kind of repeated pattern over and over, either during the chorus or the verses or whatever. So it always sticks out to me, specifically with Parker, just because I know he does that a lot.
Right.
And so every time I hear it, I go, oh, yep, that's like a classic Parker, vocal thing to do. So.
Yeah.